What's up, bros? Welcome back to another episode of the Bros. You knows. We're your BFF of the internet. This episode is part of our BBYK Christmas countdown, where we are bringing you fresh new content every day this holiday season. You'll find gift ideas and movie recommendations to help you get into the Christmas spirit. So swing on over to brosbros.com and check us out. We have a fun one for you guys today. We're going to be talking about UFC 206 and UFC Albany. As always, I am your host, Viet, the Brotorious. And to help me break down these fights for UFC 206, I have David BC Bridges. What's up, Dave?
Happening, y'all.
And I got Matt Two Stripes Alexander. What's up, Matt?
Not much. I'm on that long day's journey into blue belt.
We didn't say like a two stripe as like a white belt. It's two stripes. I mean, you could be a black belt.
Someday. I'll still probably get beaten up by 100-pound girls.
Yeah. Well, some things in life never change. Alright, guys. Let's talk about UFC 206. Obviously, the big news here is that Daniel Cormier stripped Conor McGregor of his belt. Did I get that right?
Yes.
Basically, yeah.
So we lose Daniel Cormier and Anthony Johnson, which is a huge bummer. I think we secretly all wanted Anthony Johnson to win because the world wants to see John Jones and Anthony Johnson fight. But for a bunch of reasons now, that's not going to happen. John Jones because of the stuff that he's going through, and then Cormier had to pull out for an injury. I don't know if they rescheduled that rematch, but I mean that's not going to happen until spring 2017 at the earliest. And then we have Max Holloway, Anthony Pettis elevated to the main event spot, and because they don't think that people will tune in because these are two awesome fighters, they thought we would tune in because these guys are fighting for another interim belt, because the UFC loves handing these out. And how do you guys feel about that? How do you guys feel about the UFC stripping Conor of his featherweight belt? I'm gonna start with you, David.
So, I think someone said this before, but I kind of agree with them stripping Conor of his belt. It seems like he has no plan to go back to 145. So at that point, yeah, strip the belt. So I think that part makes sense if he actually doesn't plan on going back down to 145 and defending it. But I don't agree with the how and the why, I guess. If they're going to strip him of his belt because he's not going to defend it, then strip him of his belt because he's not going to defend it. Don't wait until a fight card lost this main event, and then you're like, oh, wait, never mind, let's do it now at some random time, because then it just looks stupid.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you. That it just seemed like a move out of convenience for the UFC, which is
desperation.
That's not how you want to show how substantial and important holding the UFC belt is. Like, this is a big honor. This is really hard. When you call this guy UFC champ, you're saying this is one of the best on the planet that does this. Right. And then now you're kind of like saying, yeah, but if a main event drops out of the card, we'll just we'll take that away at our convenience, at our leisure. And also, just why does it make sense that because you turned Jose Aldo's interim title into now a full-fledged title, that you have to then give someone else an interim title?
Right.
Like, why can't this just be a contender fight? Like, why are we not okay with saying Holloway is number one and Pettis is a really good featherweight? These two fight for the first shot at Jose Aldo for the belt. Like, why do they have to get an interim belt?
Exactly. Like, it doesn't make sense at all. Because it's not like Aldo's hurt or anything. I mean, he could fight in March or April or something.
Dude, don't jinx him. Don't jinx him. Please don't do that.
We'll knock him to wood around here somewhere.
Matt, do you have anything to add?
Not really. It's all drama. New best thing ever, even if it is a doubly or triply interim belt. Other than that, it is going to be an awesome fight with or without the interim belt, and Jose Aldo probably never going to come back and defend it either, so let's go Max Holloway! UFC Hawaii! Woo!
Well, we're just going to jump right in. As we did with the last fight breakdown, we're going to flip this one on its head. We're going to start with the main event. This is an awesome fight, guys. Max Holloway versus Anthony Pettis. I know you guys are both big fans of Max Holloway. I'm a huge fan of Max Holloway. This guy is a big guy for the featherweight division. He stands 5'11". He last fought Ricardo Lamas. He won in a decision. He fights out there in Hawaii Elite MMA. This guy is a kickboxer. He will switch stances up in a fight. He's gotten really good with his striking. And man, he's going to be facing Anthony Showtime Pettis. Even if you are just a casual MMA fan, there is no way you have not seen the one Showtime kick of his, the highlight on Benson Henderson. They seem to play that on loop anytime Anthony Pettis is on the card, and you just don't get tired of it. It's a really incredible thing to see. This guy was the former lightweight champion. He fights up there with the guys at Rufus Sport in Milwaukee, and he's also a kickboxer. He'll switch his stances a bit too. These guys are both pretty tricky strikers. We're going to start with Max Holloway. David, tell me, what do you like about Max?
So, it's like you said, I mean, the guy's he's a pretty more than decent on his feet. But I think one of his strongest suits is the fact that he's extremely active on his feet. I forget the actual stats, but he throws, I want to say 13 strikes per minute, which is almost double what like Pettis throws, basically. And it really keeps his opponents off balance because they're always having to defend against his activity. And his another aspect of his that is helps him out quite a bit, especially in his last fight, is his basically his toughness. I mean, look at the guy. You know, he doesn't look like the, you know, at least, you know, on the surface, it doesn't look like the toughest dude out there. He's got a crazy chin. He's taking some shots and weathered them just fine and didn't look dazed at all. And, you know, against someone like Pettis with, you know, Pettis' kind of power, that might come in handy this weekend.
All right, Matt, I'm going to have you talk about the former lightweight champion a bit. Why do you like Anthony Pettis?
Because he looks great moving down to featherweight. He had a really great run at WEC before he went to the UFC. But once he transitioned, he was like a win streak. Then he kind of had like a 3-loss streak against Cartier and Eddie Alvarez and yeah. So he didn't look quite as good, but then he dropped down in weight, and he looks like he's a lot more energy, and his frame is, you know, a little bit bigger than, comparatively, it's a little bit bigger than it was to the guys at lightweight.
Hey, Matt, you're coming in really muffled right now. I think maybe the mic was a little close, actually.
In short, he's not that short, because his frame is going to be a little bigger than the featherweights that he's going against now, compared to the guys at lightweight. And there's still a few question marks. I have high hopes for him, and he's got really good striking all around and can submit anybody after he hurts him on the feet, usually. Pretty dynamic, so I don't see him using too many takedowns or anything in this fight, because Holloway has great takedown defense, but it should be really exciting fight to watch on the feet.
Yeah, you're right to point out Holloway's great takedown defense. The guy's only been taken down 3 times in the past 3 years, though you gotta imagine if the fight does go to the ground, I mean, that would seem to, on paper, favor the former champion, Anthony Pettis, and that might be something that he wants to do. These guys are both phenomenal strikers, and we have just seen Holloway. We've been fans of this guy for a while. This guy seems to make improvements every single time he steps into the octagon, and he steps into the octagon often.
Right.
Each time it seems like we're seeing him improve in different things. He used to pressure guys down, wear them out to gain an edge on his opponent, and it wasn't so much strategy and using his footwork to stay elusive, he would essentially eat one so that he can stay there and throw off his combinations. What we're seeing now is that the guy has really developed his footwork. Very creative striker. The thing about Anthony Pettis, and David, you know this, I'm a huge fan of Anthony Pettis. And the thing that really has concerned me, especially with his losing streak after his run as the champion, is that he really kind of demonstrated that he's a bit of a front runner. Like, this guy is very comfortable when he's got that speed advantage. Some of his opponents, they kind of freeze up. Like, they're not used to the way this guy can throw kicks that fast from that angle with no tell, and it freezes up some guys. And lately, guys have just sort of gone at him, and they didn't allow that flash and that speed to intimidate them. And without that working for him, we've seen Pettis not do so well. He struggles to find other ways to impose his will when his first option or his second option don't work. We've seen Max Holloway where if something's not working for him, he finds creative solutions to the problem. And so I see this if it becomes a dogfight and it's close, just because of that mentality and that approach to it. I favor Holloway in this fight.
I think it's a really good point. You're saying the whole point of Pettis does well when he has the advantage and he's ahead, basically. And then Holloway, like you said, I mean, not only has he improved, between fights, from fight to fight to fight, he improves between rounds. I mean, the guy makes adjustments. He's one of the best fighters in the UFC at making in-fight adjustments, and that should be a big bonus against Pettis.
Pettis is going to be the more dangerous fighter at range. His kicks are still some of the best in the UFC, some of the most spectacular in the UFC. I just think that Holloway's his movement, his ability to stay at distance and then move into that boxing range and really get off his combos, that's really going to stifle Pettis' sense of timing, his ability to work that. It's going to make him uncomfortable, and those are the situations that I don't like for Pettis. He's not, like I said, he's not someone that really deals well when you take away his first and second best option. And I can really see Max's his blueprint to rule the octagon, his ability to negate Pettis' ability to excel at range and then bring it in close, and I really have it in Max's favor once it gets into boxing range. I think he's going to have the edge there over the former champion. My final point is, and this is actually something that I'm going to bring up later when we talk about probably my favorite fight on the card, Cub Swanson versus Duho Choi. But you're going to have guys in Pettis and Cub Swanson who may not have the best head movement / defense because they are so naturally gifted with speed and timing that they sort of get away with that. They don't always have their hands up where they need to be, and they kind of depend on being the faster man. With Pettis, we saw him go in there against Edson Barbosa, a guy that was his match when it came to speed, was just as athletic, can throw kicks with even more ferocity than Pettis, and again, he struggled. He didn't have that. He didn't have that advantage. And I think in Holloway, he's going to be fighting a man that's just as quick and as fast as he is. He's not going to have that advantage. How will the former champion fare? So let's go to prediction time. Matt, who do you got winning this fight?
Holloway by decision.
And David?
I agree with Matt. I think...
is this a unanimous decision, by the way, Matt?
This is definitely a unanimous decision. 49, 46, 48, 47, 49, 46.
I love it.
All right. I agree with you guys. I think this is going to go Holloway. Is this Holloway's first 5-round fight? Has he fought a 5-rounder before?
I believe this is his first.
Not that I think gas tank is going to be an issue for Holloway. It could be interesting because Pettis obviously has fought plenty of 5-round fights.
Yeah, I believe this is his first 5-round fight. At least in the UFC, he might have fought in some other organization 5 rounds, but as far as the UFC is concerned, first 5-round fight.
We'll see. We'll see if those championship rounds make a difference. I don't think they will. Max that's a tough kid. I think the three of us are in agreement. We were in agreement before this entire interim belt business and stuff that this guy was going to be the featherweight champion someday. It was just like a matter of time. Whenever he gets a title shot, whenever they figure out the Conor McGregor stuff.
His last loss was to Conor.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's gotten a lot better. He's gotten a lot better since he fought. I think a rematch would actually be very interesting between those guys.
Yeah.
But that's neither here nor there. We got the co-main event fight. Got David's favorite fighter, Donald Cowboy Cerrone, versus Matt the Immortal Brown. You have Donald Cerrone, who just came off of a spectacular TKO victory over Rick Story. So he's riding a bit of a win streak right now, has looked really good moving up to welterweight. On the flip side, Matt Brown is coming off of a TKO loss to Jake Ellenberger. Ooh, so
Yeah.
Definitely going trending downwards. Both men are about the same age. These guys are veterans of the sport. Donald Cerrone, he'd fight every other weekend. He'd fight every weekend if the UFC let him. I think they were opening up for the media scrum for UFC 206, and he was already talking about like the next card he wants to be on. It's like, dude, you haven't even fought yet, and you already want to plan your next fight. This guy is crazy. Let's talk about Donald. We broke Donald Cerrone versus Gastelum down for the 205 card. Now, that fight was canceled, so I actually removed that portion from the podcast. I think we're probably going to try over the same things here. He trains over there with Jackson Wink MMA. The guy is an orthodox Muay Thai fighter. Matt, I'm going to let you talk about Donald Cerrone. Why do you like Donald Cerrone? You sometimes compare yourself to Donald Cerrone. You call yourself the Donald Cerrone of podcasters.
Yeah, because he's always up for it. I have always up the podcast. I'm not like, Brian DC Bridges, Brian Caraway, who pulls out of fights all the time. I can podcast wherever. I can do it. We can do it at night, do it in the morning, stand up or on the ground. I'm there to go, baby.
Oh, David, how's your wife enjoying retirement?
Yeah, seriously.
That's girlfriend, right? They're not married.
Yeah, I don't think they're married yet.
I'm sorry, Matt. Go ahead. Donald Cerrone.
So Donald Cerrone is a beast, and he's a cowboy, which is why his nickname is Cowboy. He's very chill, but he's tough as hell. His striking has gotten super accurate, especially with the combos that he throws. Very clean from kickboxing range. He used to kind of brawl it out a bit with his hands. He's still a very good boxer, and he has great jiu-jitsu. So, in terms of this fight, obviously Matt Brown's going to want to probably get up in his face and bully him, kind of like he did at the press conference. And Cerrone was like, bro, the fight's not till Saturday. Sorry. I see Cerrone kind of owning him. Hopefully he doesn't punch him in that guy's thick head. Maybe he'll head kick him instead. But Cerrone has looked good, and he's never been one to fold under pressure of a pressure fighter who can push forward. So I see him using his new movement and footwork to get a lot of good kickboxing and possibly finishing the fight. But Matt Brown is super tough, so maybe not.
Yeah, Matt Brown, the guy's got some game. Both fighters have an excellent Muay Thai striking. David, why don't you tell us a little bit about Matt Brown, the Immortal?
Well, Immortal kind of sums it all up right there. Until his last fight against Ellenberger, the guy seemed to be impossible to put away, basically. His main attribute is his toughness. And, so that nickname didn't come out of nowhere. He is a very good grappler, and I think he's an underrated wrestler as well. But he can be taken down, and Cerrone, especially at 170, has shown a tendency to impose his will through takedowns, which I think has helped his Cerrone's 170, his welterweight division run. Matt Brown, unlike Cerrone, tends to start his fights fast. I mean, he puts pressure on his opponent pretty much immediately. So that could help him this weekend against Cerrone, because Cerrone is a notoriously slow starter in his fights, and his pressure early on could play spoiler here.
I'm going to piggyback off of what Matt has said, and that is, it's not just that we're seeing a better Cerrone. It's not like he's gotten better skill-wise. I think he was already an elite-level fighter when he fought at lightweight. The difference that we're seeing now is a more patient Cerrone. It's his game finessed, and I think that's really going to give Matt Brown a lot of trouble. Cerrone is going to have the speed advantage here, and he does a really good job of managing distance, kind of stays in that kickboxing base, and he'll use those teep kicks and leg kicks to kind of keep his guy at range. And, if the guy kind of like moves in, hands down, boom, you're going to hit you up top with the head kick. If the guy tries to level change on you, he's really good at throwing those check knees up the middle. And he's always been good at those things. I just feel like he's gotten better at being patient, not rushing into things, not getting over eager or excited. And that spells trouble for Matt Brown, because I think Matt Brown, his blueprint to rule the octagon against Cerrone, there's a lot of things going against him, speed being the big one. He's still a big, strong guy, so he's going to have to wait for Cerrone to make a mistake, get in close, probably turn it into more of a grappling match and wear down Cerrone, beat a bigger guy and wear him down. That's probably what he wants to do. I just think it's going to be tough. We're going to go prediction time, guys. David, who do you have winning this fight?
I have Cerrone winning this one, and I think he gets the finish here. I'm going to say second round.
What about you, Matt?
I'm going to go bold and also say second round finish by submission.
Would not surprise me.
Triangle choke.
All right, there we go.
Yeah, I see Cerrone winning this one by TKO. Probably. You're right. You guys are right. Second round. That sounds about right. I agree with Matt. It could be a butt whooping. I mean, it could be. He's a gamer. That guy's tough, but it could be a butt whooping.
Yep.
Cerrone's good at so many different things. It's gonna take a mistake on his part, and Matt has just off the charts fight IQ. Like when you see him lose, you rarely see him lose because he makes a mistake. Like Matt, we were talking about the fight he had versus Damian Maia, and he didn't really do anything wrong. He was just Maia's just next gen level with that stuff. He's a very intelligent fighter. But this is a fight that, like, if he loses to Cerrone, he's going to be losing to a guy that was a slightly better striker and just a lot quicker. And that means that the guy's going to get 1-2 shots off, and then you don't really get off any. It could look like a blowout.
Yeah.
All right, guys. I'm so excited about this next fight. I think this is going to be the fight of the night. Just fireworks.
If it lasts long enough.
Cub Swanson versus Doo-Ho Choi. This is interesting. Choi actually called out Swanson in his last fight. Now, if you guys have seen Doo-Ho Choi, I mean, I would assume you're listening to an MMA podcast. You know who this kid is. He's probably one of the biggest prospects out of Asia in a while. This kid is legit, but if you look at him, I mean, he looks like a MOBA player or something. The only sports he plays is esports, Like, I think I saw someone on Twitter, they like showed a picture and they're like, this is the only guy that like each fight you see him in, he looks younger. Just the innocent, unassuming looking kid with crazy power. He is knocking fools out. He called out Cub Swanson, but this isn't like a disrespectful call out. This was more of a Cub Swanson was one of the guys I looked up to and I modeled my game after him, and it'd be an honor to fight him. UFC gave it to him. Now, Cub Swanson's a top 5 guy. The winner of this fight, that's gonna be up there. Like, this is gonna be one of the guys in the title shot mix after this one. Let's start with Cub Swanson. This guy's a veteran. Got a 23-7 record. He last fought Kawajiri, beat him in a decision. The guy also trains at Jackson Wink MMA. Matt, I'm gonna let you start on this one. What do you like about Cub Swanson?
Well, the scar above his eye healed quickly, so that's a plus. When he got flying kneed by Jose Aldo a long time ago. And he's
Was that WEC?
I think so, yeah. The double flying knee.
was, yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible. But yeah, he's a veteran. He has a lot of fights, and he's still doing pretty well. He's 2-2 in his last 4, lost to Max Holloway and Frankie Edgar, so those are like 2 of the top guys. And then 1-2 more against guys who I don't know, but that's because I'm bad. Actually, I don't think they're top 15 fighters, so no, I don't feel so bad. But yeah, he's solid all around. It's interesting to see, because it's interesting to see like when his chin is going to go. And like this might be the time when it goes, because his opponent hits really freaking hard and is super quick. But I'm never going to count him out because he's so tough and like pretty well rounded. So, and something told me that this was kind of a pick 'em, even though like my head says that he's going to lose, but heart says that it's a lot closer than I would think. So, I mean, I'm saying that he has a chance. Saying there's a chance.
Oh, I think he has more than a chance. Cub Swanson is a legit contender. Veteran of the sport, great all-around skill. He's a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and the guy has legit knockout power. He has 11 KO victories. He's an orthodox fighter, but he will switch his stance up a little bit like Wonder Boy in that he has different strikes coming depending on like what stance he takes. More traditional with the orthodox is 1-2s, and switches over to that southpaw, and he'll really like to throw those liver kicks and dart out and then go back to his right. So just a very interesting fighter, just very creative. We talk about Max Holloway, how he throws a lot of crazy things, just punches from angles that other fighters wouldn't do. You're not taught to do that, and it takes a fighter to get into a certain level and a certain comfort level and just confidence in yourself that it can work to be able to do that. Holloway can do that. Cub Swanson is another one of those guys that can do that. I mean, we see the guy chain together boxing combinations and then finish it up with like a cartwheel kick or something like that. I think I've seen him slip, put his hand on the ground, and as he was getting up, like flip to the other side and use the hand that was propped off the ground to throw an overhand. It's always danger, it's like the danger zone when you're
the
in
zone
the ring
of danger.
Yeah, with Cub Swanson. He punches and kicks from a bunch of different angles, and it's really hard to get a read on that. And if there's anyone that can get a read on that, it is this kid, Choi. I mean, the guy is like a computer. Kind of reminds me a little bit of Anderson Silva in his prime, where he kind of throws punches and kicks at the beginning, not necessarily to hit the guy, but just to sort of program him, see how the guy reacts, where he's going to be, and then he fires off what he wants to do with just deadly precision and a crazy amount of power. David, I'm going to let you talk about Choi. What do you like about this kid?
All right. Well, first of all, funny facts for all of y'all, or interesting facts for all of y'all. Choi made his UFC debut on UFC Fight Night 57, which was headlined by Frankie Edgar versus Cub Swanson. Now he's fighting Cub Swanson.
Oh man, started from the bottom.
Now he's here. Look at that. So Choi is he's one of the better boxers, I think, in MMA. At least one of the better ones to enter MMA in a while. And he's an interesting kind of pressure fighter. He'll get up close to his opponent, but not necessarily to throw strikes, but more to force his opponent to throw strikes. At which point he just unloads some vicious counter shots. I was looking at his stats earlier. He has been hit all of 10 times in his UFC career so far. Now, granted, he's only spent, I think he spent less than 5 minutes total in the octagon because he knocks everyone out so quickly. But that's pretty impressive right there.
It may be a little premature right now, but I think this is a guy, maybe next year, we start putting up there one of the best strikers one of the deadliest strikers
Right.
in all of the UFC roster. I think that this guy may be the best knockout artist, like, south of Anthony Johnson.
Yeah.
He's got incredible power for a guy that looks like he plays League of Legends or whatever. It's amazing. I wanna quote I believe this was the great Kenny Florian once said that precision beats power and timing beats speed. And that's what no laughs really.
Kenny Florian.
Come on, guys.
I laughed.
Come on, guys.
I
Nothing.
I was like, wait a minute, wasn't that Connor? Then the joke hit me. Yeah.
No, bro, that's anonymous.
Come on, man. The great Kenny Florian. Damn.
Oh,
I'm sorry. I forgot. Too much respect for Kenny Florian here.
Good job, dude.
But yeah, Duo Choi, the power that he's generating in such a short amount of distance, it's really scary, especially when you see the way he reacts to it. We were watching this last fight, David. What did he do? He knocked the guy out and then just put his hands on his hips and kind of like started smiling, like, "Oh, yeah. I guess it's over." It's like, what? Who is this kid? Scary. And you know what? He's got Dana White in his corner too.
Oh, 100%.
He's one of those guys that kind of like that Sage Northcutt. You got some guys that Nate Diaz accuses the UFC of maybe giving a little push.
Mm-hmm.
But he's definitely one of those guys that they are starting to see why. I think a big win over a name like Cub Swanson, a fighter of Cub Swanson's ability, I mean, that's going to launch Choi up to that next level. Really, I can't tell you guys how excited I am for this fight. We're going to go to prediction time. I'm going to start with you, David. What do you got?
All right. I am calling a Duho Choi knockout, but I think that this is his first fight that goes past the first round.
All right. I like it. Matt?
I predict a second round TKO by Choi. Sorry, Cub.
You could have just said that, and like, if it happens, like, yeah, told you.
Called it.
Called it. Yeah, I agree with you guys. I think this is Choi. I like Cub. You know, his creativity has bitten him in the ass in some of his fights too, and he kind of takes chances on certain things and goes on some flurries. And there are times he goes in that Cody Garbrandt mode where he's just swinging everything into every punch, and it's like a 5-punch, like mega punch combination. And you know, if his opponent gets the timing and kind of sidesteps that, he ends up like wasting a lot of energy, puts himself in a bad situation. And I brought this up when we were talking about Holloway and Pettis, where you have a guy in Cub Swanson who, like Anthony Pettis, has traditionally used his just natural speed as his defense, to just sort of get out of the way. He has better head movement than Anthony Pettis, Cub Swanson does. But at the same time, when you have guys like this that depend so much on natural ability, and they fight a guy, and I think with Duho Choi, it's not going to be just a guy that's his equal. I think it's a guy that's going to be faster than him. How's this guy going to be able to react to that? Much like the last fight that we were talking about with Cerrone and Matt Brown, even though skill-wise it may not be too far off, I could see this looking like a bit of a blowout too, with Duho Choi just using his speed and his striking and his timing to just keep Cub Swanson at distance and just pick him apart. I agree with you guys. I haven't been finished in the first round. And it's been a long time since we talked about this guy. This is one of the broest fighters we know, Tim Kennedy. This is Matt Alexander's personal hero. He's fighting against Kelvin Gastelum. Man, I'm going to give you a chance to talk about your hero, Tim Kennedy. What do you like about this guy?
He can kill bad guys all over the planet and is cool, and also gives out good recipes for pasta. But also, he's tough and durable, smart fighter, also fighting at, training at Jackson Little John. And he has really freaking good jiu-jitsu. So he's the man. That's it.
Another guy that trains up there at Jackson Wink MMA, do you think that they do this like on purpose? Like Jackson's like, man, you know, if I go out the corner, I don't want to just go for one guy.
Yeah.
Kennedy, I mean, The name of the game is his grappling ability. He's won multiple grappling competitions. He's got a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And like we said, the guy killed terrorists for a living. This is one of the Broest fighters on the roster. The big news in the past few weeks was the launch of...
MMA.
Yeah, MMA. Dubs M Triple. Yeah, so that's going to be probably the headline going forward for Tim Kennedy. Kind of sad for us because we love Tim Kennedy, but this may be his swan song. He has hinted that this may be his last fight, unless the UFC decides to give him a title shot after this. He's just, it's been a lot of headache for him and just a bunch of different things that have interfered with his ability to fight in the octagon, and then obviously his push to help bring about change, trying to form a fighters union and protect the fighters. I think he feels like that's his calling. He's very passionate about it. He's a very vocal leader, and I think he's really good. He's going to be really good for the sport, what he's going to do, but I think that's what he's going to do going forward. We wish the best for him then, but this Saturday, he has a fight against Kelvin Gastelum, who was supposed to fight Donald Cerrone at UFC 205. He missed weight horribly. He had an interview with Ariel Helwani, just said his body gave up on him. It wasn't sweating the way it used to, and it just sort of shut down. And we've heard this story with Johnny Hendricks too. I think some of these guys that go on those massive weight cuts, like you can do it a couple times, but it's not healthy, and every once in a while your body just has to shut down and tell you, please don't do this. This is not good. You're already doing something extremely dangerous by fighting for a living. Could you not go through these extreme weight cuts as well? And also Kelvin Gastelum, he fought at middleweight on Tough, and he's actually competed at middleweight before. He's actually undefeated at middleweight. So maybe not a bad look for him. He seems adamant that he wants to go back to welterweight. I would agree. Dave and I were talking a little bit before this podcast, and it's kind of weird. 170 is right there, 15 pounds below middle, 15 pounds above lightweight. Sort of like this weird cut either way. And you kind of wonder if maybe they just didn't make that weird jump right there, and they just had what was Pride's welterweight, 165, and then just had a super welter or something like that, and a 175. And maybe that's more of a natural weight class for a guy like Kelvin, a guy like Johnny Hendricks. This guy fights at King's MMA. I had so much stuff to say about him on our last podcast against Cerrone. I don't think a lot of that stuff is going to necessarily apply because Kennedy is just a different fighter than Cerrone is. I saw a path to victory for Kelvin Gastelum because Cerrone has struggled a bit with southpaws, and the guys at King's MMA, they were the ones that put together that RDA blueprint, the stocky build, get in close, and that was something that beat Cerrone, and I saw them utilizing that and putting that with another stocky fighter in Kelvin Gastelum. I could see him beating Cerrone. Against Tim Kennedy, it's going to be tough because Gastelum, one of his strengths is his strength. The guy is ox strong, especially at welterweight, and you've seen him impose his will. I mean, the guy is not bad. It's kind of weird. He's lost a lot of buzz since the Tough, since he won Tough, but really, what are his losses? I mean, he lost to Tyrone Woodley, who's now the champion. And he lost to him by a really close decision that could have gone either way. I think he's still a talented fighter, and I still think that his career is trending up. This is a tough fight for him. I'm going to let you talk about him a little bit, David. What do you like about Kelvin Gastelum?
I mean, it's like you said. One of his strengths is his strength. I mean, the guy is really, really strong, and he's a very, very smart wrestler, I think. Now, granted, against someone like Tim Kennedy, who's also a very, very good wrestler, that might not be as much of a strength in this fight. But I do think that his striking is much more diverse than Kennedy's, which I guess isn't really saying much because Kennedy's striking is not exactly, in the upper echelon of the UFC. But I think training at King's MMA has really improved his striking a lot from his Tough days. In this fight, though, it'll be interesting to see because, like you said, he's normally one of the bigger guys, in the ring. But 185, and especially against someone of Kennedy's size, he's going to be the smaller guy and won't be able to impose his usual game plan. I mean, that being said, he is very, very talented fighter, and if he can get his conditioning on par, I think he has a long career and a long successful career. This weekend, though, I mean, Kennedy's tough. This is a tough matchup for him. He is 12 years younger than Kennedy, and he has been much more active than Kennedy over the past 2 years. But this is a tough fight. It's hard for him.
It is a tough fight if you're going to try to map out a bro for Kelvin Gastelum, a blueprint to rule the octagon. You're going to have to look at, all right, he's got KO power, 5 knockout victories to his name. That's going to be, I'm not saying he's going to have to headhunt, but, I mean, one, he's going to have to try his best not to let Kennedy just control him, because you got to think Kennedy is thinking, this fight, I'm going to take him to the ground.
Right.
You got Gastelum, who's been taken down in 5 out of his last 7 fights. The guy has been taken down. Tim Kennedy is an incredible grappler. So he's definitely going to want to put Gastelum's grappling to the test and take down the kid. And then once there, Kennedy's just got great pressure, just really tight transitions, that doesn't really make mistakes once he gets top position, and just really controls you and can hurt you with some ground and pound. You won't really mess up there. That's going to be a really tough situation for Gastelum to be in. So I really think he's got to be smart. We saw him thwart some takedown attempts by Johnny Hendricks, so his takedown defense has gotten better. Kelvin's has. Whether or not he's going to be able to consistently stop a bigger, stronger grappler in Tim Kennedy, I mean, we'll see Saturday. But I think the knockout is going to be his one way to win. And interesting statistic, but Tim Kennedy's last 2 losses were knockout losses to southpaws. So there you go. Of course,
there is an asterisk on one of those.
There is an asterisk, but if Kelvin Gastelum just takes a page out of Yo's book, just have a water bottle handy to splash himself if he gets a little tired, and I like his chances. All right, prediction time. Matt, who do you got?
Kennedy by first round sub after a clinch takedown, arm triangle.
Wow. Okay.
All right. I'm also going to Kennedy here. I mean, we saw how he looked against Romero, who is an insane wrestler. So I think Kennedy just imposes his will in this fight, but I think it's a unanimous decision.
Yeah.
Kennedy hasn't fought in a while.
That is true. I mean, he hasn't fought in 2 years, so it'll be interesting to see what Kennedy we have here. And he's basically been, in training camp for 3 months, and because he was supposed to fight on 205, and that got pulled. And who knows? Maybe this fight gets pulled too. Does Gastelum make 185?
Yeah, I don't know. That'd be really funny if he.
Wait, is it 195 pounds or something?
No, he says he's 187 right now. So
right, there we go.
He's 1 pound off. I'm assuming he's gonna make weight. That'd be really embarrassing. Man, for Tim Kennedy, could you imagine with Rashad Evans and then also Kelvin Gastelum? Like we won't even get to see him fight again. He's just like, I'm done.
I'm done with this.
Yeah, a little bit of just a gut call for me with Gastelum. It's really hard. I think I've talked with you about this before, Matt. It's really hard to project how much fighters improve or get worse in between fights. I just think maybe it's a perfect storm for Gastelum. He's a little bit more comfortable there at 185. I think the size advantage is why he can't ultimately compete there. But while Tim Kennedy is a big, strong middleweight, he doesn't have a substantial height advantage, and their reach advantage is fairly identical. So this will be one of the middleweights where Gastelum isn't going to give up a substantial reach advantage, so he can still work his game with the striking. I have seen improvements from him in grappling and his defensive grappling. So, it's a matter of him being able to survive a couple of those exchanges and then just kind of being the young buck, the guy that's more fresh, has had more fights recently, a little bit more on point once it gets into the second and third round.
Viet, I am disappointed in you, man. Fairly identical? That's not the right phrase. It's virtually identical.
I think that was the great Kenny Florian.
It's the great Kenny Florian.
Oh man, that's such an old joke.
It is such an old joke. People have already tuned out. They're like, we can only take one Kenny Florian reference
Well, wait,
a podcast. You've
that
exceeded.
happened back in what, January or February, right?
Yeah. Hey, look. The thing is, we'll have to retire it in 2017. Okay.
That is true.
We're just going out with a bang.
Yeah.
Actually, no. We have one more. We still got to break down the New Year's
7.
card, which is the Ronda versus Nunes, and then Cruz versus your boy Cody. Anyways, we're not done with this card yet. We got Jordan Maine. Nah, man. You've messed me up now. You've messed me up. It's not mean.
Mean.
It's mean. Jordan Mean. Whatever. It sounds like mean. Mean versus Meek. That sounds fun.
That sounds
versus Emil Meek. Let's start with Jordan. David, you're a huge fan of him. I'm gonna let you break down this game real quick.
All right, Jordan Meehan, yeah. So this kid's Canadian, and I say kid, he's 27, and he's come out of retirement. I remember when he retired, I think it was 2 years ago maybe. I was pretty disappointed because he's had, I think, 40 pro fights, and he's only 27 years old. So he's got a lot of wear and tear. But he has some very, very, very slick striking, and every now and then he uses, somewhat of a karate style. So he's fun to watch. But this is his first fight coming out of retirement. He basically called up UFC and said, "Hey, I want to come back," and they're like, "Yes, please." But yeah, so he on his feet, he's very slick, very smooth. Can basically throw anything. He has good kicks, good punches, good elbows. Can do basically everything on his feet, and fun guy to watch. And I think he's at 27. He's just now getting into his prime, despite the fact that he's unretired now, I guess.
Yeah, I think it's kind of funny. You have a guy that has 40 pro fights is making a comeback out of retirement versus an up-and-coming prospect. The old veteran guy coming out of retirement is 27. The up-and-coming prospect that's fighting, this is his UFC debut, is 28.
Yeah.
So that's kind of crazy. Yeah, Jordan's opponent, Emil Meek. This guy's last fight was a knockout victory over, Rosimar Polaris. You guys remember that dude?
It's so much fun seeing him get knocked out.
It was so epic.
Yeah, he's training over there in Norway. The guy's at Frontline Academy. The guy's a kickboxer. He's still relatively new on the scene for the American audience. We haven't really seen too much of him, unless you just really follow MMA and you followed his career over at Venator. What can you tell us about his game, Matt?
He's tough, and he likes hitting people, and he doesn't mind getting hit. I was very sad to see that the UFC did not let him bring his axe to the press conference.
That's right, he walks around with a battle axe. This guy is awesome.
So the UFC didn't let him do that a couple hours ago, so I really hope that doesn't affect his performance. But basically, all of his he's won one by submission, and then there's one no contest. I don't know why it was a no contest, but he has 7 wins and 8 losses, or 7 wins and 2 losses by knockout. It's basically someone gets knocked out in all of his fights. He has decent takedown defense, it seems, especially when he's elbowing people in the temple, especially when those people hold on to heel hooks too long and totally had it coming. And he's just really excited to be there. He loves fighting. He sounds like a very cool dude. But I'm excited for his UFC debut.
Yeah, I am too. The guy just seems like such a character. I think this guy is going to be a fan favorite. I mean, not only does he try to show up to weigh-ins with an axe, he's just very exuberant, very confident, just a brash young kid. And his fighting style, just ferocious, very aggressive, a true pressure fighter. Usually when guys are like this, they tend to open themselves up. Matt, you brought this up. He does take one so that he can land one, and a majority of his fights have ended up with a knockout. But you look at his game, and he's got a surprising amount of finesse in there as well. His kickboxing game, very solid. Guy has a very good cross hook combination. He mixes things up really well especially in that boxing range. Just one of those guys I like to call like a technical power puncher. It was like Anthony Johnson, where it's like flamethrowers, but it's controlled. Like there's still an incredible amount of technique and precision, but he throwing them like they're haymakers. And he's only going to get better. They're both fairly young. I think in MMA, it's not like other sports where you kind of have like this prime in your early 20s. There's just such a high level of skill when you're out there by yourself, and you're fighting guys within your weight class. You're fighting guys that are generally around your size. So you really, the difference once you get to the top really is going to be your ability to outthink your opponent, your skill level, and these things take time to develop. So even though you got Meek, who's 28 already, he only has like 10 fights. He's got plenty of room for improvement. We're going to go prediction time. I'm going to start with David. What do you got?
So, I mean, this is interesting because, we haven't seen Emil Meek against, UFC level competition, but he has rolled through a lot of people. I feel like the safe bet here is Jordan Meehan, just because I think he is the more technical striker, the more technical fighter overall, while Meek probably has that, more powerful shots. So I'm going to go with Jordan Meehan by decision, although I think the fight that everyone really wants to see here is Platinum Mike Perry versus Emil Valhalla Meek. I think that would be fight of the year.
Yeah.
I mean, am I wrong or am I right?
I have to agree with you there. Matt, you know what? Just don't say anything if you agree with David.
Silence is consent.
Matt, I'm glad that you think so highly of David. That's so... No, Matt just stepped away really quickly. I was just asking David who he picks to win the fight. Who do you have, Matt?
Emil Meek, just because he's the man. Probably by KO because...
Why not?
Because
Yeah, I'm going to go Meek here as well. I like the guy. He's just awesome. And with Jordan, it's tough. It's tough for him. It's tough for him stylistically. I think you're right, David. The guy is going to be the more technical fighter. He's a crafty veteran. 40 fights. That's a lot of fights. But it's also a lot of experience to pull from. And he has had some time to have his body heal up and his mind and spirit heal up. So it'd be interesting to see where he's at now. But this is a tough fight for him. You got a guy like Meek, and he's a pressure fighter that just he's got flamethrowers. It's tough. I see Meek finishing him. Were there any fights on the card, other fights on the card that you guys want to go through real quick?
I would just like to give a shout out. Nikita Krylov is fighting on the prelims, and if any of y'all have not watched him fight light heavyweight, watch that dude. He is fun.
Yeah, that should be an interesting fight against Cerrone. And then we also have our boy Albin Mercier.
yeah, OAB.
Yeah, if he's fighting Drew Dober though, man, that's tough.
That is a tough fight for him. That's a real tough fight for him. I like that kid though.
Yeah, he's awesome.
We saw him on the Team Canada versus Team Australia. I think there's a lot of Canadian fighters and Australian fighters that are, shall we say, not the top, not the best, that we really like because we watched that season of Tough.
Basically.
Lando Venata is also on the undercard.
That's right. So, what are the odds of Lando Venata winning a performance bonus Saturday night? They gotta be really high, right?
36.36% at least.
Nice. I like it.
That's his takedown defense.
No.
Or no, it's significant strike. Sorry, accuracy. Although he absorbs 9 per minute about, but I don't know how those
Yeah,
stats.
because he fought 21st.
Because he got 20%. There's an outlier in there.
Yeah.
That first round between Venata and Ferguson was insane.
That was awesome. I mean, Ferguson's a beast. How did he survive? So awesome. We also want to remind you, MMA fans out there, that it's not just Saturday. you're leaving work tomorrow. It's Friday. You're like, you got
Need our
UFC
website.
Albania or Albany. Albania. What am I doing?
It's in New York, bro.
Yeah, UFC Albany. You got the main event, Derek Lewis versus David. I'm gonna let you say this name.
Shamil Abdurakhimov. Oh, crap.
Is it Kimov or Kimov?
I think it's Kimov. Abdurakhimov?
Abdurakhimov.
I think
Shamil
so.
Abdurakhimov. Another one of those Dagestani guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, those guys are just crazy tough people. All right, Matt, I gotta let you talk about Derek Lewis, H-Town's finest.
H-Town's finest, and his
I've
Twitter.
told Matt he's got a mission. He's gonna go over there and he's going to train with Derek Lewis. I said he needs to get into that guy's gym. He trains over at Silverback Fight Club. Get in that gym, submit him, earn his respect, and then get him to come on to Broest with us. Can you handle that, Matt?
I can handle that, bro. Rolling leg lock. Even though in old school Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu they don't really do leg locks, so I don't know what I'm doing, but I still think that's probably my highest percentage. My bro against Derek Lewis would be crying in a corner and then backing into him and leg locking him and crying, waiting for him
Your
not to
bro
eat
is
me.
probably bringing a shotgun, and even then, chances aren't very great. This guy is incredible. Big guys should not move like him. He's got a 94% finishing rate. Just incredible. He fought Roy Nelson, which I thought, if anything, watching that fight, people were just more impressed with Roy Nelson. He just got walloped and somehow managed to stay alive.
Yeah.
Like there were, 4 or 5 strikes that legitimately should have killed a person. Should have killed a man. He got a head kick off on him. Derek Lewis.
Derek Lewis is basically an NFL offensive lineman throwing head kicks.
Yeah, it's very interesting that and you bring that up too. You brought that up earlier, and it's just the way the guy's built. So athletic for that size too, but he's 31. We're considering him like an up-and-coming prospect. Guy's headlining a card because he's gained a lot of popularity even in a short stint with the UFC. It's a little weird with the heavyweight division, right? We don't have like these young guns like other divisions kind of go through. My theory with it is that like big athletic guys just have like other sports to play. So your transition to MMA comes a little bit later in life, and that's why we see prospects in heavyweight are usually in their late 20s, like Stipe Miocic. A little interesting side note there. The guy that he's fighting, Shamil Abdurakhimov. Matt, I know you're a big fan of this guy, and I know you've broken down his game. Tell our listeners out there, just break down his game a little bit.
He actually has really good striking defense, and he has good striking defense and he has good takedown defense. So I somehow don't see him getting taken down in this fight. He has terrible takedowns of his own, and he's pretty accurate fighting. So there is a possibility. They both have similar records, but there's a possibility that he could just like outpoint him from kickboxing range and just kind of like or jab him to death. But that's probably not going to happen.
Yeah, and I mean, if he could put Derek Lewis on his back, that's exactly what he wants to do. Derek Lewis, surprisingly raw off his back, doesn't really have much. Just he's got the power to try to like lift you up. He hasn't really shown any tools to be able to do anything effective once you get on top of him. Let's just go straight to prediction time. David, who do you see winning this fight?
Derek Lewis, round 1 knockout.
Matt?
Derek Lewis, round 2 knockout.
Derek Lewis, round 3 knockout.
Got all of our bases covered.
Yep. Oh, man. I feel like, if anything, if my prediction is correct, I'm almost impressed with Shamil. Because you know that means he had to survive like 1 or 2 big shots already. All right, guys, I think that about wraps it up. You got any closing thoughts? David, I'll start with you.
All right. Everyone, enjoy the busy weekend of MMA action. And I guess this is our last podcast before Christmas, so you all have a very Merry Christmas. and we will talk to y'all before the new year for UFC 207.
All right, Matt, you got anything for our listeners?
Matt has to mention that Juliano Lima is the very first fight on the UFC Albany card. Also, Draculino student, black belts in Jiu-Jitsu, and also very good at Muay Thai. And she's fighting JJ Aldrich, and she's going to win. And it's not going to be close. Hopefully. But also, there is no rattling the cage this week because we got shut down for being fake news, which I think is a travesty because somehow bjpen.com is still allowed to be a thing. But we have awesome new content on the website all the time, and Final Fantasy 15 is the best Final Fantasy game that they've made in like over a decade, and it's amazing, and everyone should get it.
Man, I love that, Matt. That's what I was going to give the site a plug. Look at this, Matt,
Yeah.
incredible.
Represented.
No rattling the cage.
Corporate
Oh
shit.
man, our fans are they're very sad about that, but it's
Wait.
okay.
So there's no rattling cage. There's no 5-minute long Kenny Florian only rattling the cage.
Yeah, can the next one you do before our New Year's episode? Can you do just a Kenny Florian centric rattling the cage?
Oh, I could definitely do that.
Guys, listen to Matt. He's a smart man. Come visit us, broesbros.com. We have been doing a Christmas countdown. We have new content on the site every single day until Christmas. Come check it out. We're hooking you guys up with cool gift ideas. And we have movie recommendations to help you get into the holiday spirit. broesbros.com. We'd love for you guys to swing by. Thank you to David and Matt for coming and help break down UFC 206 and UFC Albany, not Albania. And until next time, we are Broest Bros, you knows.